Welcome to Gordon Hall. Gordon Hall was built between 1841 and 1843 for Samuel William Dexter. This was the third home that he built. It was named after his mother, Catherine Gordon Dexter. Also in 1824, the village of Dexter was formed, and it was named after his father, Samuel Dexter. Gordon Hall is now owned by the Dexter Area Historical Society, and we are very proud to have you visit. Welcome to Gordon Hall.
In the year 2000, our local state representative, John Hanson, found out that the university wanted to divest themselves of some properties, and Gordon Hall was one of them. John got together with Gil Campbell, our president at the time of the Historic Society, and we all had a meeting and decided that the Historical Society should own it. That started a 5-year odyssey, ended up with Gordon Hall in the hands of the Dexter Area Historical Society in 2005. We started out with notifying as many people as we could that we were looking for some money, and the university at the time also wanted to designate Gordon Hall and 4 acres as historic property. That action came from the County Board of Commissioners, and the Historical Society wanted to designate all 67 acres of the property as historic. University ended up suggesting 12 acres, and the Board of Commissioners saw it our way to designate the entire 67 acres of the property as historic. But we went on and on and on with trying to get the university to give it to us. Then in 2005, the university came out with the edict that they would accept the bids in November of 2005. That was in September. We had like $37,000. And then the municipalities came through and committed almost $500,000 to the cause. And then the Chelsea United Methodist Homes came through and said they wanted to buy it. And we negotiated with them. They wanted to build the Cedars of Dexter, 60 units for senior living, the first one that would be in Dexter. And so we negotiated a deal with them that we wanted most of the property, especially the view, but we could carve out a piece so that they could put their 60 units on. So in November of 2005, we bid $1.5 million, and very soon thereafter, the university came out and said that we won the bid. So with that, we got a loan from the United Bank for $900,000. We used the cash that we had for the $600,000 to put down, and we began an 8-year trek to pay off the $900,000.
This is Judge Dexter's bedroom. Normally in the house, the bedrooms were in the upstairs, but in order to visit the house and see the room, we placed it in the first floor. It's at the back on the south side. In the room, we do have 2 artifacts that are definitely belonging to the judge, the bed and a rocking chair. The remainder of the furnishings are a period of the time that Judge Dexter would have been living here. Some of the features in the room also include a foot bath, a slop pot, or as it's called, or a chamber pot, which they used because, of course, they did not have bathrooms in the house at that time. We have a wash basin and a variety of things, a spinning wheel, variety of things that what you might see in the house. One of the features in this particular room comes from what once was a tower room, or rooms on this side of the house that Millicent Bond Dexter had built. It's the fireplace or mantelpiece to that. So that was original to the house, but not quite to the era of Judge Dexter, because that was built after the judge passed away. If there was not a fireplace in this room, it's just representative. But the rest of the rooms, normal rooms, would have had fireplaces. So that's how they heated primarily. So that's a soapstone, yeah. And what, basically it was just in the in the fire and the heat, and put in the bed to warm the bed at night. They used to use bricks and stuff too. A lot of them. This one just is a soapstone. And what? But these are pieces that were donated to the museum. One of the things that we have found out that after the judge's wife Millicent passed away, what she did not want anybody else to have her furniture other than the family, and if they did not take it, she wanted it burned. So that is probably one of the reasons why we don't have a lot of artifacts and what.
The trim on the windows was custom made and using the drawings from the Hobbs drawings to duplicate what all of the windows in Gordon Hall will eventually look like.
But one thing you'll not find up here at all is any heating. There's no furnaces up here. There's no fireplaces like they had in those days. But you can really define the room here by how it came across here, and also on this side over here, because that's where the lath ended. So it was plastered from here to here. And so the room was not a bad size room, but obviously, the room, you can actually determine the size of the room by what they had left here. So it basically went from where the stairwell ended across to here. So they nailed on here, and that's where the lath that was nailed across here. There's a piece of lath. I use this as my pointer. But the lath was nailed across here. You still see, we left some of the nails here. These are all taken off, by the way, when we're here. But some of these nails are still there today. And then when they plastered it over that lath, you can see the white marks here where the plaster went through that and actually held it all together. So that's even more demonstrated on this side, where you can see here that some of that lath is still there today. They covered it with a little bit of metal so the lath would hold on, the plaster would hold on, and you can still see some of the plaster between these two windows that is still on here today. So this is really a neat example of the construction up here. When we build a doorway today, we have this outside, and then we put what we call a jack stud here, and we just set the header on top of it. Well, in that day, they decided they want to do it. Look what they did. They actually mortised that in right there, that piece right there. So that thing is so unique that in the days when they had hand tools that they actually pieced them, and they actually made it so that it would slide in so that you can see it would not fall out because it's actually at an angle, so it couldn't fall out. In the architectural structure there, you can actually see where the stairwell was and how it scissored up through this portion of the house right here. So if we had come in the front door, we came in the back, there was literally a grand hallway that went clear from the front door to the back with the rooms on the side there on the first floor. They just covered the top of the stairwell here. And you can see the difference in the direction here and what it was. So this is actually where that stairwell came upstairs.
Coming down the staircase, anyone that was visiting Gordon Hall came down the staircase, and there was this massive stone wall on their left when they came down. And everyone assumed it was an outside wall. Little did they know that there was a secret room on the other side. When Catherine Dexter McCormick bought the house and they started refurbishing it, and they knocked a hole in that wall. And as you walk through that doorway that was put in there, no one knew that the secret rooms were on the other side there. So, and this is the first of the secret rooms. This room had two fireplace bases in here, and there's one that looks like it was cemented over, so it may have been a working fireplace at one time. But the Underground Railroad, when people came up along, followed the railroad at night, just before dawn, they were told to look up to your left, coming from Jackson, and you'll see this massive home with the white pillars up there, and that'll be your safe haven for the night. And they would come up here, and there probably was a trap door on the front porch. It's been recovered several times since then, so there's no longer a trap door out there. But they would be welcomed into this room, and the floor at the time was not cement, naturally. It was a sand floor, but they knew that they were going to be safe and warm for the day before they started their travels again at night. Now, I say there's probably a trap door in the front porch, but we do know when Hobbs Historic American Buildings did their surveys and drawings here back in 1934, there was actually a trap door still on the east porch. And that trap door led down to a little tunnel underneath that porch. And it came to this much smaller secret room. As you come in the door, just to the left, there's still a window here and a little trap door that they would have come through to get down into this room. Again, there's another base for a fireplace here. This was for one of the rooms right directly above here. And also when they put the tower up on Gordon Hall, which Mrs. Dexter put up after the judge passed away, they had fireplaces up in each of the rooms up there also. So all four girls had a room with a fireplace and their own bay windows looking off to the south. This little room was much smaller, but they had an easy access, and we do know there was an access because when the drawings were made, the trap door was there. So this is one of the secret rooms that was here. Again, when they came in here, they knew they were going to be safe for the day, and they would be fed, and they could get some rest for their journeys at night again.
We have had few pictures of Gordon Hall in the early years, but we do have this one that appears to have been taken before the tower was added. The addition on the right is only 1.5 stories high, with the kitchen area on the first floor and the small bedrooms above. Now, Samuel W. Dexter died in 1863, and after his death, his third wife, Millicent Bond Dexter, made some changes to the hall. In about 1875, she had a tower added to the south side of the hall and had the north side roof raised from 1.5 stories to 2 stories. This picture, taken in about 1910, shows the tower. The people in front are not identified, but it was taken when Thomas Burkitt owned the hall. He had purchased the hall in 1900 after the death of Millicent. In 1939, Catherine Dexter McCormick, granddaughter of Judge Dexter and wife of Stanley McCormick, purchased Gordon Hall and the 67 acres around it. She hired Emil Lorch, U of M Dean Emeritus of the School of Architecture, to renovate the home of her grandparents. The centennial of the railroad was coming up in 1941, so there was a great effort to have most of the restoration done by that time. The first floor interior was repaired, painted, and readied for a grand opening on July 4th, 1941. Pictures here show the redecorated and furnished first floor, all fixed up for the centennial. Noting the historical value of the property, a commission was formed to set up the Gordon Hall Historic District. In the years between 2000 and 2005, when the university called for sealed bids, the Dexter community went into action. Money came from all areas, from kindergartners who sold cookies to large amounts of money from corporations as well as organizations and individuals. Our bid was placed, and it was the high bid. So we became the owners in 2006. Since then, we have successfully paid off our mortgage and have acquired a number of grants to begin and continue the process of restoring Gordon Hall. Any and all events held here are aimed at maintaining the hall and enabling us to return Gordon Hall to what it was like in about 1865. This book, written by James Baldwin Parker in 2012, is a history of not only the hall, but of the Dexter family and the whole community of Dexter. It's called Voices of the Past, the Saga of Gordon Hall. It tells the story of Judge Samuel W. Dexter's historic mansion near Dexter in Webster Township, Washtenaw County, Michigan. And in it, almost all of the pictures that you saw today are included.
As you've heard, we have many Dexter Historical Society members, many members in the community that are interested in restoring Judge Dexter's house to its original state for our future generation. At one time, we hope that this will be the central park of Dexter. We have many events, not only here at Gordon Hall, but in the community, that people are supporting us for our restoration. We also have many beautiful weddings. If you are interested in being part of any of this, being part of volunteering, being part of our society, or just coming to visit, make sure you check our website, dexterhistory.org. We would like you to be part of our team.